And that plan then takes us forward into different services or potentially referring to other things. Or we also do coaching too. But we identify specifically for that person what's going to be the next best steps.
Excellent. And just to make it clear for people who might be under the misperception that what you do requires you to be there, you know, face-to-face, hands-on kind of thing, it's not, is it? It's something
right.
that
No, actually, I work
virtually.
all over. So I do have some people that there's just like there's different communication styles and different thinking styles, different learning styles, there's actually different organizing styles too, and different ways of learning those things. So I do have some people that need a physical presence. And if that's the case, then we work out how I'm going to travel to be there. Because I will travel to a location, but I don't have to. And there are many instances where we've worked very successfully using Skype, like we're using here today, using the telephone, using email. It depends on what their specific challenges are as to the type of virtual tool that we use. But the beauty of the internet and easy telephone access to a lot of locations is that we can work virtually. You know, digital cameras make that really easy too. So it depends on the person's preference, but we absolutely can work virtually as well as face-to-face. And sometimes we do a combination of the two. We may do what I call our one-day intensive, where I'm going on location for one full day to really get an intense implementation going on. And then after that, we're following up more virtually to make sure that good habits are staying in place.
I love it. Isn't it great to be able to work with anybody, anywhere?
Oh, it's exciting. You know, it opens up the possibilities. And I get to meet so many fantastic people. Well, you and I have never met face-to-face, right?
Right.
I think Twitter was the first place we connected. But you know, the virtual world that we live in now gives us the opportunity to meet and connect with so many fantastic people.
And I love it. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
The world is wide open for us.
That's right. That's right.
So, Stephanie, when it comes to women, specifically in your niche, what do you find is one of the biggest challenges that they face, and what is your best tip for helping them?
Sure. Hands down, multitasking.
So, I knew that was coming.
You know, right? And you know, when I was younger, I used to pride myself on being the best multitasker ever, until I started reading all the studies that said that I was actually getting less done. And you know, ego came in. So I'm like, no, multitasking works. I kind of ignored the first few sets of studies out there and said, okay, wait a minute. There's now enough studies, and I'm a productivity expert. I really need to look at this closer. And the reality is, when you are multitasking, you're not giving your full attention to the multitude of things that you're multitasking with. Therefore, you're not giving it your best. It goes back to your conversation about 50% of you versus 100% of you. So let's talk a minute about understanding what multitasking really is. So if you happen to work out of your home and you are working on a blog post and you are doing laundry at the same time, I don't consider that multitasking, because the washing machine and the dryer are doing the work of the second task. You're kind of taking breaks and putting stuff maybe in the washer and dryer, but you're not doing the washing and drying. A difference would be, a multitasking example would be when your brain is being divided between two or more types of tasks. So let's say you're sitting on WordPress trying to write a blog while you're listening to a training class and maybe mentally kind of preparing for this client phone call that you have coming. You're not giving your full attention to any of those things. No. And what the studies will show is that you're actually slowing yourself down, because your brain cannot do more than two things, well, it can't do more than one thing at a time. So what you're really doing is jumping in between those tasks at very fast intervals, but your brain can't keep up. And then if you have something that requires really deep concentration and you allow yourself to multitask, Further studies will show that it takes you up to 25 minutes to get back into the same state of deep concentration that you were in before you got yourself interrupted or you multitasked out. So what I tell people is if you have things that require that deep concentration, honor yourself and the work that you're doing and allow that to happen. Turn off the notifications on your email, turn off your phone ringer, make an appointment with yourself and really focus on that thing. You'll be amazed at how much faster you get through it.
Mm-hmm.
I think back to college when there were some of those classes where I read the textbook and then I had to read the same sentence 3 or 4 times before it made sense. If I look back to those days, part of those days were because, well, the content was just hard. But other parts of those days, I lived in the dorms and there was stuff going on in the hallway and maybe the phone was ringing and maybe my roommate was saying something to me. I had to read the sentence multiple times because my brain was being diverted to other things. Versus when I went into a quiet location and read that same textbook, I could comprehend it a little better. And you can do the same thing with your business. Really focus your time in. It's what I encourage you to do is what's called a power hour, where you say, within this slot of time, I am only going to do X. And within that X, I suggest it being a revenue-producing activity. What a lot of my clients find is they dedicate that hour and they get whatever it is done before the hour time is up because they're truly focused on what they're doing.
I love it. It's so important, and I completely agree. I remember those days in the college dorm and all the ambient noise around you, and I had to make a habit of going to the library where it was completely silent, and I still practice that today. I work so much better when I am in complete silence. And I know for a lot of people they've got music going or whatever, and I can't do that. I can't focus. But one of the things that I have found I have to do, which corresponds with exactly what you said, is completely unplug. I mean, there are times when even just staring at the laptop it doesn't work for me because my brain's thinking about what I need to search down on Google for something else or whatever. So sometimes I just have to completely close the computer and go back to the old-fashioned pen and notepad. So.
Yes. And I'm actually, just for you, because I know you like your paper and your pen, so I am currently testing. I hope to have a blog post out soon. There are a couple different electronic tools, and I'm testing one of them now that's a pen with a little reader that you put at the end of your paper that can actually track what you're writing to make it digital for you and transcribe it for you. So. I've actually got the sample in a couple weeks ago, and I've been taking it with me places and handwriting a bunch of stuff. So I hope to have a sample of that out soon.
Wow.
But the multitasking thing, there's an exercise that I do in a lot of the workshops that I present that can actually show you how multitasking just slows you down. But even simple things like turning off your email notification can save you loads of time. And that sounds weird, but every time your email tells you you've got mail, right? Whether it's the ping or the screen that pops up that says you have mail or whatever notification, and then the same thing applies on your smartphone, you lose 4 to 6 seconds every time that email ping goes off. So I won't go through all the math here. I have blog posts out. You can look it up if you're interested. But if you average about 100 emails a day, that equates to over 24 hours that you lose within a year just in email pings.
Wow.
So by turning, those 4 seconds add up.
Yes.
They just do. And most people nowadays get more than 100 emails a day, just with all the notifications from Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and all those different things that we have turned on. So by just turning off that audible notification and saying, I'm only going to look at email at specific times rather than every second that I get a notification, you can save yourself an amazing amount of time over the course of a year.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. And I think that and this is something that I have talked about in the past, and I'm sure you've found with your clients as well. I think that when we don't take time for ourselves to refresh our minds and really be at a place of producing at 100% capacity, we are more prone to those distractions because somehow they seem a little more attractive than what we're doing at the moment. So
Right, right.
Wonderful. So Stephanie, tell us a little bit more about how our audience members can get to know you and what you do a little bit better. I know you have blog post opportunities people can sign up for. You have a fabulous blog that I think people should sign up for. But tell us a little bit more about what you've got on your site, how we can get connected.
Sure. Well, my main hub is our blog at productiveandorganized.net. And we have all kinds of blog posts out there, but over on the right-hand column, the navigation column, you can also access our podcasts, our YouTube videos. I'm on slews of different networking sites because my goal is to connect with you on whatever platform is the best for you. So if you start at productiveandorganized.net, you'll be able to see all those different connection points that we have. And then, like you mentioned, one thing that I love to do is feature great information from a lot of different minds, because I'm going to have, my perspective and my experience, but all of you have great perspective too. So at the top of productiveandorganized.net, on the top of our main navigation across the top bar, there's one link called Contribute to P&O. And what that is every so often we'll have a question that we post, and you can click on that question and submit your responses, much, Shannon, like your collaborative posts that you do as well. And we've done them on a bunch of different topics. Sometimes they're really specific, like, what's your favorite productivity tool? Sometimes they're a little more general, like how do you avoid bright, shiny objects and stay on task? Sometimes they're fun. The one that I'm getting ready to publish on Friday is the most creative uses for 3M sticky notes.
I love that one.
So they're all productivity related in one way or another. Sometimes they're much more technical than others. But then what I do with those collaborative posts is everyone that's selected for the collaborative post gets credit for their information. We do reserve the right to edit for grammar and that type of thing. Occasionally people will get kind of Twitter happy in how they're abbreviating words, and so we'll go in and edit to make them complete words and not abbreviated. But we give you your picture, your name, your company name, and a link to whatever site you want as recognition for submitting that information to our site. And they are our most popular posts by far. The one that's had the most popularity over the course of doing this is we did a post on repurposing content, because I'm all about working smarter rather than harder. If you've worked hard to create content for your blog or your website or what have you, there's a lot of different ways that you can take that exact same content and repurpose it across the web. And so I asked that question and got just some amazing responses for how different people what tools they've used and what strategies they've used to repurpose things to be more effective with their information sharing across the web.
Fabulous, fabulous. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a newsletter as well, correct?
We do, and you can sign up for that right on productiveandorganized.net as well. We're connected in a lot of different ways. We share our information via the blog, newsletter. Cinchcast is something that I started just this past November, which is very short audio posts. So during the workday, I give no more than 5 minutes worth of content. And the intent of that content is to have it be something that's very actionable. I'm all about taking action. You can read and take all kinds of classes, but if you don't take action on what you've learned, then it's not doing anything for your business. So within those Cinchcasts, which we have now transferred into podcasts and transferred over to iTunes as well, so there's an example of how I've repurposed. It's the same recording, but in 3 different modes, depending on how you want to get to it. But they're no more than 5 minutes every day of something actionable that you can do to become more productive and move your business forward.